What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Shawn Porter, is open to the possibility of facing two-time junior middleweight world champion, currently the unified junior middleweight world champion, WBC, IBF, WBA, IBO, Ring Magazine, lineal junior middleweight world champion superstar boxer, Jermell Lions Only Charlo. So, Showtime Shawn Porter says he might have his best stuff at 154 pounds. We know Showtime Shawn Porter and the amateurs competed at the higher weight classes. He says we might see the best version of Showtime Shawn Porter at the junior middleweight limit. He believes that he has lost some of his power. He starts to tap into his muscle mass and his power when he gets down to the last week or so, the last 10 days, going into a fight trying to make the 147-pound welterweight limit. Now, we saw on a few occasions that Shawn Porter was on the scale and he had to even resort to cutting his hair at one point in time to make weight. But we know that's not due to, lack of focus or lack of discipline, because there's not too many athletes or boxers, should I say, that's more disciplined than Showtime Shawn Porter. I think it's just what Shawn Porter is stating, that, he's just physically massive when it comes to muscle mass. He has a lot of muscle mass. He's short in stature, but he carries a lot of muscle mass. Showtime Shawn Porter works year around, year in, year out, all year round, 365 days a year. You never see him out of shape. It's just that he starts to deplete his muscle mass, making 147 pounds. Like I said, he fought guys in the amateurs like Danny Jacobs at 168 and 160 pounds, right? He fought guys like, get this, former cruiserweight, undefeated, world champion superstar boxer Alexander Usyk, and beat him in the amateurs. And I believe that was around 170-something pounds. Shawn Porter beat Alexander Usyk, who's undefeated and now campaigning in the heavyweight division, who just had his heavyweight debut and was successful in that, and is going into a fight with Derek Chisora, British heavyweight contender. So Alexander Usyk, who's undefeated and undisputed at cruiserweight, looking to do so at heavyweight. The only other man to do that is Evander Real Deal Holyfield. Shawn Porter beat Alexander Usyk in the cruiser in the amateurs. Okay, now that just tells you everything you need to know about Shawn Porter going all the way down and competing at the welterweight limit, because Shawn Porter is only about 5'6", 5'7" in height. So he's at a disadvantage when it comes to height, right? When it comes to mass, Shawn Porter is very athletic, right? Shawn Porter is, very muscular, and like I said, Shawn Porter, he has the athletic ability of foot movement, and he's thick, right? Right? He's short, but he's very, very stocky. Alexander Usyk is 6'3", 6'4", and 215 to 220 pounds. Okay? And in the amateurs, Shawn Porter beat Alexander Usyk in the amateurs. So, Shawn Porter, doesn't lack size when it comes to muscle mass. He just lacks height. That's where his shortcomings is, right? He's only 5'6", 5'7". He has a 69.5-inch arm reach, right? So he's not the biggest, rangiest guy in boxing, right? But when it comes to, activity in the ring, he's unmatched. And his work ethic is unmatched. So, like I said, it's not like, he's lacks discipline in between fights or lets himself get out of control in between fights and balloons up in weight. That's not the case. It's just that he's muscular. He's a football player, a former football player. He's just built like a football player, like a running back. And so, that's where his issue comes in, having to lose muscle mass. So he feels like depleting his muscle mass is what takes away from him having the power in his fights in the welterweight division. You don't see him getting a lot of knockouts. He gets stoppages due to his activity and the fact that he's always in your face. He's always on top of you. He puts a lot of pressure on you. So when it comes to that department, right, he gets a lot of stoppages. But he's not a one-punch knockout artist. You don't see him landing one punch and knocking guys out. He just, in a sense, he mauls you, right? He puts a lot of pressure on you, and he mauls you. That's what it boils down to. But like I said, Shawn Porter is 5'7", 69.5-inch arm reach, 32 years of age, and he campaigns and competes at the 147-pound weight limit, right? So with that said, Jermell Charlo is significantly bigger than Shawn Porter. Jermell Charlo is the identical twin brother to Jermall Charlo, who just unified his belts last Saturday. Jermell Charlo is 6 feet tall. He has a 73-inch arm reach, and he competes at a higher weight class. I'm sure Jermell Charlo, after initial weigh-in, he rehydrates to at least 165 pounds. That's at least, right? I might be being generous, right? Because he himself is very athletic, very muscular, right? And so with that said, he has a height advantage, he has a reach advantage, and he ultimately, I believe he will have a strength advantage. Jermell Charlo will, and he's very disciplined defensively. So what Shawn Porter brings to the table, I don't think would be able to offset Jermell Charlo. I think what Jermell Charlo brings to the table definitely will offset Shawn Porter, because Shawn Porter at times makes mistakes on the inside. He opens up too much, and you see him get caught with hooks and uppercuts on the inside, as he did against Keith Thurman, as he did against Errol Spence, at times against Kell Brook, right? He struggled with Kell Brook. Kell Brook is very, very strong, a very big welterweight, but Kell Brook is nowhere near the size of Jermell Charlo. And, Kell Brook was able to, to deal with Shawn Porter's strength on the inside, to deal with Shawn Porter's ability to maul you and push you around in the ring. He wasn't able to do that with Kell Brook. And Kell Brook is 5'9", and with a 69-inch arm reach, okay? And he fights, he predominantly fought at 147, but his last 3 fights were at 154. Now he's scheduled to face Terrence Crawford November 14th at the welterweight limit. So he's going back down to 147. But just this, the fact that Kell Brook is muscular, he's strong, and he's disciplined on defense, he beat Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter was not able to push him around in the ring. Shawn Porter just recently lost to Errol Spence, undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, because he was not able to push Errol Spence around in the ring. Now, his activity, surprised Errol Spence and a lot of people because he just keeps on going. He's like a machine. He just keeps coming, and he deals with what you dish out. The difference is trying to do so against Jermell Charlo will not, his chin will not withstand Jermell Charlo's power. I love Shawn Porter. I love his approach to the sport. I love that he never cheats the sport, the fans in boxing, and the boxing pundits and journalists. He never cheats us, right? He always brings 1,000%. He's always in shape. But Jermell Charlo has a lot of power, and Jermell Charlo is used to dealing with guys that are bigger than Shawn Porter. Now, Shawn Porter's activity may be, something Jermell Charlo has to get accustomed to in the ring. He'll make the adjustments. But once he makes the adjustments, he's used to dealing with guys that are bigger with a lot of power, like Jason Rosario recently, with boxing ability and power and skill set of a Tony Harrison, right? With the unorthodox style and the quick, slick boxing style of Southpaw and Austin Trout, right? The Southpaw slick style of Erickson the Hammer Lubin, who had power, right? So Jermell Charlo is used to dealing with guys that have a lot of power with activity, and having to, make adjustments in the ring, whether that's being able to box or have to press the action, push forward, and look for the knockout. But he has gotten the knockout in the last 3 fights. He knocked out Jorge Cota, Tony Harrison, and Jason Rosario. Prior to that, he lost to Tony Harrison, but he got a majority decision against Austin Trout. He knocked out Erickson Lubin, Charles Hatley, John Jackson, Joachim Asin. And these guys are all big, powerful punchers, right? I said John David Jackson. I meant to just say John Jackson, right? These are guys with power that are much bigger than Shawn Porter, have activity and boxing ability. So I don't think that Shawn Porter stands a chance to stand up to Jermell Charlo's power. He's not going to be able to. Now, he may have more power, but Shawn Porter just simply doesn't pack one-punch power. He just don't. He has a lot of activity. He wears you down. He starts to fatigue you. And, he wins clean punches and, shifty and landing punches to the body and changing levels. But he doesn't have a lot of power. He just simply don't. Adding the 7 pounds may give him a slight bit in edge, a slight increase in power. But he won't have an edge over Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo has more power than Errol Spence Jr. Jermell Charlo has more power than Special K. Kell Brook. So it doesn't matter how much power Shawn Porter garners. He will not be able. He was dropped by a check left hook by Adrian Broner, and he was dropped by Errol Spence with a tricky punch that he didn't see coming. Jermell Charlo will stop Shawn Porter. That will be the first time you see Shawn Porter stop. And this is no slight against Shawn Porter. His skill set, I love Shawn Porter. I love what he brings to the ring. I love his approach to the sport, and I love he don't cheat the sport and us as fans. But with that said, sometimes you just bite off more than you can chew. So him being willing to go up there, yes, like I said, he competed against guys like Oleksandr Usyk who's a cruiserweight champion now, a heavyweight in the amateurs. He competed against Danny Jacobs, big puncher. Danny Jacobs is a big puncher, but he will not in the professional rankings at 5'6", 5'7", not having a lot of power. See, he outworked them in the amateurs, right? You will not be able to outwork Jermell Charlo. He will not be able to stand up to Jermell Charlo's power. And I think ultimately Jermell Charlo will knock out or stop Shawn Porter. I just think that's biting off more than he can chew in that situation. This is not to doubt him. I'm just talking. Great big men beat great little men. 9 times out of 10 in the sport of boxing has taught us that over and over and over again. You have anomalies. You have the Manny Pacquiao's. You have Roy Jones going up to heavyweight. You have Bernard Hopkins going all the way up. You have these anomalies. Sugar Ray Robinson, right? But more times than none, the great big man beats the great little man. And in this case, Jermell Charlo will beat Showtime Shawn Porter. So I think that's biting off a little more than he can chew, and I think he should definitely stick to the welterweight division. At some point in time, yes, he could dare to be great, but I don't think his style meshes with the moving up to 154 pounds. When you have a certain type of slick boxing style like Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, even a Terrence Crawford, even an Errol Spence to a degree, right? When you have that type of style that's slick and you can outbox guys, you could move, you could be quicker than them, and you could be slick and you outpoint them. Yes, that transitions up to junior middleweight. But when you have a mauling physical style like Shawn Porter and you're the smaller guy, Shawn Porter is smaller than Danny Garcia, who campaigned thus far mostly in his career at junior welterweight at 140. When he got in the ring with Danny Garcia, he was the smaller man. Now, he beat Danny Garcia, but Shawn Porter just is at a disadvantage size-wise, right? Like I said, he has he outworks his opponents. He will not be able to outwork Jermell Charlo. He will not be able to outwork, the upper echelon at 154. They're just too big, too strong. They'll be able to withstand his style. They'll be able to stand their ground, and they'll be able to dish it out. And he will not be able to absorb what they're dishing out, especially not in this stage in his career, being in, a lot of fights, man, physically. That takes a toll on the body. Not to mention he trains 24/7, 365. That's not going to work against you. Father Time is undefeated, and that's just too much a toll on your body. So I don't think it's a great idea. Stick around to the welterweight limit as much as you possibly can. And then at some point, if you outgrow the division physically and you just can't do it no more, then you move up. But like I said, to challenge Jermell Charlo, not a great idea. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.